And then it shall be free.
What's up, everybody? It's Young Cure with day 13 of the Metal Gear Solid 5 Countdown Retrospective. Less than 2 weeks to go until we bask in MGS5 like Big Boss basks in human remains. For today's retrospective, I would like to follow up on what happened after Kojima finally dropped the ruse and outed Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain. 2 days after the GDC 2013 presentation on March 29, 2015, Game Trailers released an interview with Hideo Kojima hosted by Jeff Keighley, which yielded some new bits of information and clarification about Kojima's next project. Here are the highlights.
Hey guys, it's Jeff Keighley up here in San Francisco for GDC Week, and as you've probably seen on the site, Metal Gear Solid 5 has officially been announced as the Phantom Pain, and the man behind it, or at least we thought behind it, was Mr. Mogren, the head CEO of Moby Dick Studios, and it's great to have you with us here today, Mr. Mogren. Your eyes, it seems like they don't move very much. Could you blink for me?
Yes, wait a minute. Oh.
Mr. Kojima! Surprise! So here we are, Mr. Kojima, no more secrets. So I guess the first thing everyone's probably wondering is this whole Moby Dick Studio thing, Mr. Mogren. Why did you decide to keep this such a secret about the fact that this was Metal Gear Solid 5?
There are several reasons for this. One is that I think horror fans, myself included in this, wanted to do something really interesting in the social space. I think it's been kind of dull lately, and we wanted to do something to really energize the community. And the second reason for doing this is we wanted to evaluate the Fox engine. So we wanted to put the game out without revealing that it was Metal Gear Solid, and just see how well it would do just based on the visuals of the Fox engine.
I think 2 years ago when we sat down at Comic-Con in San Diego, and if people ever wonder how far ahead you think about these things, you outlined this whole plan to me many years ago about how you were going, we were going to talk about Moby Dick and this long plan. So you've been thinking about this for a number of years, about this this strategy, right? Were you surprised how quickly people at the VGAs, how quickly the fans figured out that it was Metal Gear Solid 5?
So honestly, we knew that people were going to know what it was, more or less, but we were surprised that they were actually able to guess the exact title. We knew from the beginning that it wouldn't be a secret. We wanted fans to realize this. It was kind of a service to the fans, saying that, hey, here's the inside joke. We know what it is, but just play along with it. And we're happy that fans did realize what it was and did play along with it.
And obviously, I think people have been having a lot of fun online. Even that interview I did with the supposed Mr. Mogren a few weeks ago, all the fans were wondering, is it real? Is it made with Fox Engine? And it was a real guy. We got, he was that guy was just someone that you sort of hired to sort of pretend to be Mr. Mogren?
Honestly, I wanted to be here in person, wearing this mask and have an interview with you. But unfortunately, I was very busy preparing for this GDC presentation. Yes. So, we found a Swedish guy to kind of stand in and do that interview.
So let's get into, what the Phantom Pain is. The Phantom Pain and Ground Zeroes, are they different games, or is it all Metal Gear Solid 5? How does that work?
Ground Zeroes っていうのは
So to explain how these things fit together, Ground Zeroes is basically a prologue. And this takes place about 9 years prior to Phantom Pain. So Phantom Pain takes place 9 years after Ground Zeroes, but put together, these two pieces comprise Metal Gear Solid 5. And the Phantom Pain is, the main part of the game, and it's really a huge game.
So when, are they going to, you're going to buy Metal Gear Solid 5 and you'll get this all together, or how do you experience it?
So we can't comment just yet on how these things will be distributed and sold, but what we can say is that, Phantom Pain and Ground Zeroes will be two parts of a whole, and Ground Zeroes will come first. It'll kind of be Phantom Pain on a smaller scale, so it'll be open world, but not quite as big as Phantom Pain. So it'll allow the user to jump in, learn how to sneak, in real time in that world, that open world, and then later on, after they kind of get used to that, then Phantom Pain will come along, and they'll be thrown into this huge, gigantic open world. So it's a two-step process to game design, and together these things will comprise Metal Gear Solid 5.
Now, there's a lot of speculation amongst the fans kind of where this is set in the Metal Gear universe. Is it after Peace Walker? Is this Snake? Is it Big Boss? What can you tell us about, for the fans that want to understand how this fits into your grand Kojima vision of Metal Gear? Where is this story set?
So Ground Zeroes takes place almost immediately after Peace Walker, and then the main part of the game, Phantom Pain, takes place 9 years later.
Another thing the fans were wondering about is David Hayter, because he said on Twitter earlier today that he wasn't even asked to come back as the voice. So there's going to be a new actor playing Snake or Big Boss?
So I can say that yes, it will be a new person. I can't say who just yet.
David, it was interesting, he said, I wasn't even asked. Why did you not bring him back for this one?
いや、
What we're trying to accomplish here is recreate the Metal Gear series. It's a new type of Metal Gear game, and we wanted to have this reflected in the voice actor as well.
Yeah. Now, as we go through the trailer, there's an interesting moment at the beginning where you see what seems like 3 people on the bed, because it feels like you're seeing from someone's perspective, and then at the end there's a line, well, what about him? And you cut out. Who is that third character that we're seeing from his perspective at the beginning? Is that a new character or someone that we know from the Metal Gear universe?
あれ僕です。
That's actually me. That's Hideo Kojima. So, in a way, I'm a phantom as well, and I'm looking at Snake and Kaz, and as an old game designer, I'm looking at my creations, and they're wondering, hey, are you dead? But I'm still there.
Is this group the Diamond Dogs? What can you tell us about them? There's been lots of rumors, like does that have to deal with blood diamonds or where the game is set? That's a new group, right, for Metal Gear?
There are many different meanings behind this name. I think you touched on a few of them, and of course, there's also the David Bowie album as well. But really, this is the name of his new unit. He loses his old unit. He has to create a new one. This is the name. The name signifies many things. A dog. The Diamond Dogs. So it's like a dog of war. They work for money and do many dirty things. But at the same time, they have pride. And that's where the diamonds come in. They fight, and they fight for money maybe, but they have their pride.
Looks like Snake's got a horn out of his head or something?
He actually has some debris embedded into his skull. Debris and bone as well.
Yeah. Oh, okay, interesting. So that will be, and he's also got, it seems like he has that sort of cyborg-like arm there. Is that something that then, as you play the game, will you have sort of abilities with that arm then?
そうですね。それは
There'll be different ways that, depending on the player, they may be able to do different things with that arm. Well, it's not going to be anything quite like Bionic Commando or anything
Exactly.
like that.
Are there going to be new characters that we will meet in this game? We obviously saw some hints of some of the familiar characters from the universe, but are you and Shinkawa, are you designing new characters we will meet as well?
Yes, of course. There will be many new characters. I think fans can expect to see some familiar faces as well, returning from the old saga. But, Yoji Shinkawa has been working on some new characters as well, and I think, it's a different taste from what he's done in the past, so I think fans have a lot to look forward to.
The Metal Gear series has always been known for, great stealth, and then it's kind of blended more into action. If you were to describe Metal Gear Solid 5, what is it feels like it's open world. It's epic. We see the horseback riding. We see, vehicles. So much happening. What's the style of the gameplay that you really want? Because if it's a reboot of the series, it may feel different too.
Metal Gear Solid has always been based around this concept of sneaking and infiltration. But up till now, it's very much been kind of like a story on rails. You sneak in, but you're kind of limited in what you could do. This time, what we want to do is create a real open world and a realistic infiltration. So, you don't just suddenly show up at the stage and sneak in. You figure out when you're going to go to the place and sneak in. You figure out how you're going to get there. Maybe you don't go there right away. Maybe you sidetrack and do a side mission along the way. And if you do that, maybe the strategy will change when you finally get to your final objective. So it's more of a realistic approach to infiltration, and there are many options available to the player. It's not something that's very limited to a certain design. It's a completely free design and very realistic. So as an example, say the player has to sneak into a certain area and help a certain person, and they show up at night. It may be dark and they have a hard time seeing anything. So they maybe want to use a Jeep's headlights to see. But if they do that, they'll probably be found. So maybe they try to use a flashlight and sneak in. There's still a chance that they may be found. But the guards will probably be less, there'll be less guards than if you went in during the day. On the other hand, if you went during the day, it may be easier to navigate. You can see what you're doing much more clearly, but of course the guards there'll be more guards there and it'll be much easier for you to get found. So, really it's up to the player to decide what's the best strategy to infiltrate a certain area. So, as we showed in the Fox presentation, the Fox Engine presentation, time passes within the game in real time. There's a 24-hour time cycle. So, it's up to the player to decide at what time they decide to, embark on their mission.
you know, Fox Engine, how do you think it's going to change the way you're designing Metal Gear Solid 5? Because obviously, you know, you're known always for kind of pushing the visuals, but it feels like now you have better tools to sort of design, and you know, this sounds like a incredibly ambitious game, so that's going to help, I would imagine.
One thing I want to make clear is, you know, just graphics. That was not, you know, our goal in creating the Fox Engine. You know, what we wanted to change the entire way that we create a game. You know, up until Metal Gear Solid 4, I guess, you know, we approached game creation sort of as craftsmen, and we, you know, worked on every single little detail by hand, and, you know, put a lot of detail to everything. And while that's great, you know, we want to use technology to our advantage, and, you know, make things easier to create a game. And so the Fox Engine was designed to work more efficiently and give us this boost of technology in game design. You know, we wanted to really shift, you know, the amount of time spent creating the game from creating assets to actually doing the game design. You know, in the past, maybe you know, a programmer would spend a lot of time creating a certain system or asset, but now a level designer can go in there and create a stage on their own. They can create a stage, they can do the lighting, and you know, pretty much create a stage by themselves. So really, the time goes from asset creation and programming to actual game design, and allows us to focus more on the game design.
Now, one thing someone asked me on Twitter, which I thought was interesting, was you have Metal Gear Solid 5, and it's not a 5, it's a V. And at the end, you have that line, V has come too. So why did you change from numbers to Roman numerals?
You know, up until MGS 1 through 4, of course, we used, you know, regular Arabic numerals. But, you know, since then, you know, the West has really caught up, and I think, you know, in many ways, you know, we're threatened by games from the West, you know, and there's a lot of competition out there. So we really want to reinvent ourselves with this game, reinvent the series. And so shifting over from 5 to V represents our will for victory. You know, V stands for victory, and this is what we want to accomplish with this game, is kind of take back, you know, our leadership and strive for victory. So that's why we shifted from Arabic numerals to this Roman numeral V.
But what do you, like, you always have a theme to your games, or, you know, you have a message that you want to put in the games. For Metal Gear Solid 5, I mean, what is this story about? I mean, we talk about phantom pains, we talk about comas, and, you know, getting older. But what do you think this game, when you first said, I want to make Metal Gear Solid 5, what did you want to make this game about?
Well, I do have a concept and a theme in mind for Metal Gear Solid 5. From the beginning, I've had this in my mind, but I can't say it. I can't reveal that just yet. But what I can say is that, you know, Metal Gear has always been about, you know, these themes of anti-war, you know, anti-nuke. It's always had these messages, and it's always about what to pass on to the next generation. You know, Metal Gear Solid 1 was about genes, 2 was about memes, 3 was scenes, 4 was sense, and Peace Walker was peace. So of course, you know, Metal Gear Solid 5 does have a key concept as well, but I can't reveal it just yet. I can say that it's a very heavy theme.
Playing the entire game as one character?
Yes, you'll be playing as one character. No riding. You can play Revengeance for that.
What we see, you know, with him waking up in that trailer, is that the start of the Phantom Pain?
Yeah.
That is correct. You wake up, and you know, you're a snake waking up, and then that's how you enter Metal Gear Solid 5, this really big open world.
Now, there are all these hallucinations, and, you know, people loved at the VGAs this, you know, the whale that sort of came out. I mean, that introduces, I think, a lot of interesting possibilities for you with the supernatural or sort of fantastical. And Metal Gear is, you know, a game that has always, it's been rooted in kind of real military technology, and, you know, there's obviously been, you've had some fun with it, but it's been very realistic. How are you planning to blend sort of the realism of Metal Gear with some of these more supernatural elements? There,
of course, will be a balance between things that are very real and a little bit of supernatural elements as well, but it will be primarily real. You know, it's real, you know, primarily a real game. But that said, you know, it does take place, you know, 9 years later, in roughly around 1984, that era. So, you know, there are influences from that era within this game. If I were to give, you know, percentage for the balance, I'd say maybe 80% real, and then the other 20% maybe sci-fi with a little bit of supernatural elements. Will that then change up the gameplay, because it allows you to do things with, you know, dreams and supernatural abilities and hallucinations that can change up the style of gameplay? Probably not. How much has the game changed from when you first thought of it to today? And I mean, are you happy with sort of your overall design for it, or how far are you into kind of designing the entire game out? As far as how much it's changed, honestly, it has not changed very much from my concept at all. Of course, you know, within the team, there were some people who opposed taking Metal Gear Solid and making it into an open world game. But I think now we're all on the same page, and we're all moving full speed ahead, you know, towards the same goal. I don't know if you can answer this or not, but a lot of the fans have been wondering, you know, PlayStation 4 got announced, and you're showing all this footage, and people are like, this looks much better than anything I can play right now on my Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3. Are you going to make this game for the new systems that have been announced, like PlayStation 4? I can't comment on any next-gen platforms, but what I can say, as we've revealed earlier today, this will be available on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. And right now, of course, we're developing it within a PC environment.
So you think what we saw today, that trailer, you think people will be able to play that on their Xbox or PlayStation? It's going to look like that?
What you've seen today is, of course, moving on a PC. But, it's being targeted at current-gen consoles. So, I can't say that it'll be 100% exactly what you've seen today, but it will be very close to what you've seen.
It's clear that there's a lot going on in your head about what Metal Gear Solid 5 is going to be like from a story perspective. So this is your last one, right?
I want this to be my last one. Of course, I always say that, but this time I really want it to be true. After this, I really want the Tokyo team and the LA team to focus on their own, take over Metal Gear and, create new games in the series while I'm freed up to work on my own projects. And, for about 10 years, I have all these ideas in my head that I want to create, so hopefully I'll be able to work on that.
All right, well, we'll leave it there then, Mr. Kojima. It's been fun to see the game. Thank you for taking the time to talk with us today. Anything else to say to the fans at home who saw everything today? Anything you want to say to them?
ファントムペインがメタルギアソリッド5っていうのを発表しましたので、
we've announced now that Phantom Pain is Metal Gear Solid 5 and it's running on the Fox engine. I will say that it's going to be a very different experience from Metal Gear Solid games up to this point. And it's maybe not quite the traditional stealth experience that people have come to expect from the series, but it's a lot of fun, and it's something different. It's what I want to create, and I hope people look forward to it. It's getting to the point where it's becoming a lot of fun. I want to show it to people as soon as I can. It's not quite ready yet, but please just wait a little longer.
I don't know about you, but I absolutely loved the way Phantom Pain was unveiled. Very Kojima-esque, a lot of fun, and a very cool way to get people talking and buzzing. So, a few things I noticed about the interview. At this time, Kojima really didn't seem sure whether Ground Zeroes would sell separately from Phantom Pain, but I'm sure the idea was on his mind. We also got confirmation from Kojima himself that David Hayter will not be playing Snake. We would come to learn later in the year that he'd be replaced by Kiefer Sutherland. I've liked how Kiefer has played the role so far, but I still don't like the way David was let go. But hey, at least David dealt with it like a champ, tweeting this soon after the GDC 2013 presentation ended. Next, I would like to talk about the third character in the emergency room, who Kaz points to and says, "What about him?" This got a lot of people speculating, but Kojima stated that it's him looking into the world. Lately, I've been thinking that maybe this third character is the rumored avatar that players get to create at the beginning of the game. Maybe that's why Kojima said that it's himself, since as he was creating the trailer, he was the player and the creator of this avatar. And again, this is only if the avatar rumors are real. I could be way off though. We also got confirmation that Diamond Dogs is indeed Snake's new unit in Phantom Pain, and that it alludes to things like blood diamonds, and that it signifies things like dogs of war who work for money and do dirty things, but do so with pride, hence the diamond. This pride, of course, leads to the theme of vengeance, but that wasn't revealed at the time. There was also some explanation about the mysterious horn, which Kojima confirmed for the first time to be debris embedded into his head. As for the bionic arm, he didn't reveal too much story-wise, but he did state that it would come with some cool features that players will be able to use to their advantage. Then, after lots of cool clarifications about the open world, the day and night cycle, and how all of these features affect gameplay, the interview ended with an explanation of V. According to Kojima, the shift from 5 to V symbolizes the reinvention of Metal Gear, and the V also apparently stands for victory, as it's Kojima's goal to make Metal Gear Solid 5 a game that will surpass a lot of those Western games. He did, however, avoid talking about what V has come to means, which remains a mystery to this day. And with that, I would like to end Day 13 of the Metal Gear Solid 5 Countdown Retrospective. Thank you for tuning in. Let us know in the comments below what your thoughts and theories were about all this new information. And to be further updated on the MGS5 Countdown Retrospective, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.